There comes a moment in every life when the mountain in front of you looks too high, too wide, too immovable to ever shift. But the divine whispers a truth that can overturn every fear. Your faith is the key that commands the mountain to move. Faith transforms obstacles into pathways for divine breakthroughs when a person understands that every experience carries within it a hidden design for growth. Many people look at their challenges as barriers that steal energy and hope. Yet, these very challenges are often the points where spiritual transformation begins. Faith is not simply believing that good things might happen someday. Faith is the inner conviction that the universe is already aligning circumstance in your favor even when nothing on the outside has shifted yet. When someone stands in the midst of difficulty and chooses to believe that something greater is unfolding, that belief itself becomes the force that reorders the situation. The mountain in front of them begins to lose its power, because the mind that once feared it has awakened to a higher truth. Faith changes the way a person sees life, and when perception changes, everything else follows. Many people try to solve their problems with worry or with reasoning that leads them deeper into confusion. Faith takes a different path. Faith looks beyond appearances and holds to the idea that the spiritual world is the source of all solutions. The moment a person shifts from doubt to trust, they enter a different flow, where opportunities they could not see before begin to reveal themselves. This is not accidental. Life responds to conscious expectation. When someone expects good, good finds a way to reach them. When they expect solutions, solutions rise up from unexpected places. Faith clears the inner clutter that blinds the mind and allows new answers to rise into awareness. Those answers were always present, but fear had covered them. When faith takes root, the obstacle that once looked like a dead end becomes the very path through which transformation takes place. It is often during the most difficult seasons that faith reveals its greatest power. When everything seems uncertain, faith whispers a quiet truth that nothing is lost and nothing is impossible. This whisper strengthens the spirit and gives courage to take the next step even when the full way forward is not visible. Each small step taken in trust creates momentum, and each moment of momentum attracts further clarity. The obstacle begins to shift because the person is no longer resisting or doubting. They are flowing with what the divine is unfolding. Life cannot resist a mind that is steady in faith because such a mind is aligned with spiritual law. The obstacle that once stood like a mountain begins to dissolve or rearrange itself into an opportunity for advancement. What once felt like a burden becomes a bridge into a new chapter of strength and purpose. Faith also transforms the individual at a core level. Obstacles push a person to discover their inner reserves of resilience and intuition. When someone learns to believe even when temporary appearances are discouraging, they cultivate qualities that stay with them forever. Patience grows deeper. Confidence becomes more stable. The ability to expect good becomes natural. These traits attract better experiences because they reflect a higher state of consciousness. Faith does not only change the outer world, it changes the person who is moving through the world. Once that transformation happens, the outer changes follow naturally. What once seemed difficult now becomes manageable. What once caused fear now inspires determination. The breakthrough appears because the person has become aligned with the spiritual truth that every obstacle contains the seed of a gift. Your word spoken with certainty carries the creative power that moves mountains because words are not only sounds. Words are declarations that imprint themselves upon the subconscious mind. The universe responds to these imprints with matching experiences. When someone speaks with doubt, they plant seeds of confusion. When they speak with fear, they plant seeds of limitation. But when they speak with conviction, they activate a power that begins shaping their reality toward the direction of that conviction. Words carry energy, and energy becomes form. This is why a great spiritual teacher emphasized speaking only of what one desires, never of what one fears. The spoken word is a tool that molds the unseen substance of possibility into concrete manifestation. Certainty is the key that empowers the spoken word. A person may speak hopeful words, but if their heart is filled with doubt, the words lose force. Certainty does not mean forcing belief. It means choosing to trust that the divine law is already at work. When someone speaks their word from this place of trust, the universe hears clarity rather than contradiction. The spoken word then becomes a command instead of a request. It carries the tone of someone who knows that what they declare already exists in spiritual form and is now moving toward physical form. This certainty acts like a magnetic field, pulling circumstances into alignment. The mountain that once felt immovable begins to shift because the person has spoken from a place of spiritual authority. This process becomes even more powerful when combined with steady focus. Many people speak positively for a moment and then undo their words with complaints or fearful statements. This creates mixed signals. But when someone consistently speaks words of victory, peace, and certainty, they create a strong vibration that cannot be easily disrupted. The subconscious mind begins to accept these words as truth, and once it accepts something, it begins shaping the outer world to reflect that truth. The mountain responds because the mind behind the words has become unwavering. The spoken word is a creative force, and consistency amplifies its power. Words also influence emotional and mental states. When a person speaks words of strength, they begin to feel stronger. When they speak words of faith, they begin to feel more aligned with possibility. This internal shift matters because the outer world mirrors the inner world. A person who speaks with certainty carries themselves with a different presence. They see opportunities instead of limitations. They take actions that reflect confidence. These actions attract results that align with their spoken declaration. The mountain moves because the individual has moved into a new vibration through the power of their own word. There is a harmony that forms when faith and the spoken word work together. Faith fuels the conviction behind the words. The words reinforce the faith. Together, they become a creative partnership that reshapes circumstances. This harmony is what makes spiritual law respond so precisely. A person who speaks with doubt wavers, but a person who speaks with faith stands firm. A firm stance creates a clear directive that the universe must follow. The mountain moves because the spiritual law always responds to clarity and conviction. When someone truly understands this, their life begins to change in profound ways. They stop giving power to obstacles and start giving power to their declaration. They stop speaking about what is wrong and start speaking about what is unfolding for their good. They stop reinforcing fear and begin reinforcing faith. The spoken word becomes a tool for transformation rather than a reflection of temporary appearances. The obstacle that once seemed impossible to overcome becomes an opportunity for spiritual mastery. The mountain that once blocked their way becomes the mountain that proves their power. Every challenge is a call to activate your spiritual authority, not your fear, because every moment of difficulty carries within it an invitation to rise above the level of consciousness that created the problem. When a person encounters an obstacle, their first instinct is often to shrink back, to wonder why this is happening, or to assume that something has gone wrong. Yet the deeper truth is that challenges appear not to weaken but to awaken. They push the individual to draw upon strengths they may not yet know they possess. Spiritual authority is not something reserved for rare moments or special people. It is the inherent power given to every person to speak their word, to align their mind with higher truth, and to direct their life from a place of inner certainty. When a challenge appears, it is life offering a chance to step into that authority. Fear arises when the mind becomes trapped in appearances. It looks at the situation and assumes that the difficulty is final or stronger than the power within. Fear exaggerates the problem and hides the solution. But when someone remembers that they are connected to a divine source, fear loses its influence. The moment a person refuses to feed the fear and instead chooses to stand in spiritual authority, the atmosphere around them shifts. They begin to think differently, to see possibilities where previously they saw none, and to act with renewed confidence. The challenge remains the same externally, but the inner posture changes dramatically. That inner change is what begins to recreate the outer circumstances. Spiritual authority is rooted in the understanding that the divine law responds not to fear but to faith. Fear weakens the connection to intuition and blocks the flow of good. Authority restores alignment. It reminds the mind that there is a higher order working behind the scenes. When someone speaks with authority, they are not pretending. They are acknowledging their rightful place as a co-creator of their experience. A challenge is simply the stage upon which this understanding must be demonstrated. Without challenges, authority remains theoretical. With challenges, it becomes activated. This activation leads to clarity, direction, and resilience. People often underestimate the extent to which their inner stance influences their outer world. When someone meets a challenge with fear, life mirrors that fear back to them in the form of confusion or stagnation. When they meet the same challenge with authority, life mirrors that authority back to them in the form of solutions and breakthroughs. the challenge itself becomes a tool. It reveals what needs to be strengthened, what beliefs need to be released, and what new qualities must be developed. Every challenge, no matter how intimidating, serves a purpose in shaping a person into someone capable of receiving greater good. The authority awakened during hard times becomes the foundation for future blessings. The law responds to your expectation, not to your emotions or circumstance, because spiritual law operates through alignment rather than reaction. Many people believe life responds to the intensity of their feeling, but the law is not moved by worry, frustration, or anxiety. It responds to the deeper belief beneath those feelings. A person may feel overwhelmed, but if they expect things to work out, the law supports that expectation. Another person may feel calm but secretly expect a defeat, and the law mirrors that expectation instead. Expectation is the energetic command that shapes experience. It is the blueprint that life follows, regardless of how turbulent or peaceful a person's emotions may be. Circumstances often appear convincing because they are visible and immediate. They demand attention and push the mind into reaction. But circumstances are only temporary manifestations of past beliefs, and they cannot dictate future outcomes unless a person continues to expect more of the same. Expectation is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. When someone expects improvement, the invisible begins rearranging itself to fulfill that expectation. Doors open, ideas surface, and opportunities align. These shifts are not accidents. They are the result of a mind anchored in certainty. This principle becomes clear when observing how people behave under pressure. Two people can face the same difficulty, yet their outcomes can be entirely different depending on what they expect. The one who expects failure attracts experiences that confirm that belief. They attract delays, overlook possibilities, and interpret setbacks as proof that things will not work out. The one who expects success attracts resources, sees openings that others miss, and interprets setbacks as temporary. Expectation colors perception, and perception guides action, and action invites results. Life does not respond to the outer noise of fear or frustration. It responds to the quiet conviction of expectation. It is important to understand that expectation is not forced positivity. It is not pretending that everything is perfect. Expectation is the steady assurance that good is unfolding regardless of appearances. It is the understanding that circumstances are malleable, and that spiritual law is always working behind the scenes. When a person holds an expectation of good, they create a magnetic field that draws matching experiences. This expectation calibrates the mind to notice solutions, to take aligned actions, and to remain open to guidance. Even when emotions fluctuate, expectation holds steady like an anchor. People often wonder why affirmations or prayers seem to work for some and not for others. The difference is expectation. Words spoken without expectation carry little force. Words supported by expectation carry creative power. A person can say that things will improve while secretly expecting disappointment. And the law responds to the expectation, not the words. But when words and expectation align, manifestation becomes swift. This alignment forms a powerful current that reorganizes circumstances with precision. Understanding this gives someone the ability to take charge of their inner world. Instead of reacting to circumstances, they begin shaping their expectation deliberately. They choose to expect guidance, to expect abundance, to expect healing, and to expect progress. This choice shifts their state of being. It lifts their vibration and strengthens their confidence. Life mirrors this shift with synchronicities, breakthroughs, and new possibilities. The law is exact and consistent. It does not discriminate. It responds to what a person truly expects, and this truth empowers them to direct their life, rather than be directed by external events. When these principles are integrated, challenges lose their power to intimidate. A challenge becomes a signal to activate spiritual authority rather than fear, and expectation becomes the force that guides the outcome. The combination of authority and expectation creates a path that no obstacle can block. The person begins to walk through life with a quiet, but unmistakable confidence, knowing that the divine law is always responding, always supporting, and always working in harmony with their innermost belief. They rise above circumstances not through struggle but through alignment, and life responds with breakthroughs that reflect their awakened power. What belongs to you by divine right cannot be blocked, delayed, or denied because the universe holds a precise order that governs every unfolding in your life. When something is truly yours, it carries your spiritual signature. No obstacle, no circumstance, no person, and no condition can interfere with what has already been prepared for you. Many people believe that their good can be stolen or diverted, but this belief only arises when the mind is disconnected from its spiritual truth. Your good is not held in the hands of the world, it is held in the hands of the divine. And what the divine has assigned to you travels on a path that only you can walk. Even if the path twists, even if there are pauses, even if you feel that things are moving slowly, the destination remains untouched. Delay does not mean denial. A pause does not mean loss. Sometimes the road becomes longer only because the preparation within you must match the blessing waiting ahead. People often misinterpret closed doors as signs that something is not meant for them. But closed doors are sometimes redirections, alignments, or protections. What belongs to you will not require force or fear to obtain. It will come through alignment, clarity, and right timing. When a person remembers this truth, they stop grasping and begin trusting. They stop worrying about who is ahead of them or who seems to be receiving more. They recognize that divine right is not based on comparison. It is based on spiritual order. Your journey cannot be replaced by anyone else's, and theirs cannot replace yours. The good that is yours travels with your name already written upon it. The moment you stop doubting your worthiness, that good moves toward you with greater speed and clarity. It is important to understand that divine right is activated not by fear but by faith. When someone believes they must chase or compete to receive what is already theirs, they block the natural flow of their good. But when they stand in the quiet confidence that the universe has already prepared their portion, they become receptive to guidance. Ideas flow more easily. Opportunities feel inspired rather than pressured. The right people enter their life without struggle. Divine right is not earned, it is recognized. It is not seized, it is accepted. When someone aligns their inner state with trust, doors open in places they never looked. Paths appear where they once saw only walls. Divine right begins unfolding with a grace that dissolves fear and strengthens courage. This truth also brings peace during seasons of uncertainty. Life sometimes feels like a series of tests, delays, or unexpected turns. But these are not signs of abandonment, they are signs of preparation. Sometimes the blessing you seek requires you to grow into the version of yourself that can carry it responsibly. Sometimes the delay is allowing hidden obstacles to be cleared before you arrive. Sometimes the time you consider waiting is actually the time you are being expanded inwardly, so that when the good arrives, it does not overwhelm you but elevates you. Divine right does not operate on your impatience. It operates on your readiness. When you trust this process, the pressure dissolves and a deeper confidence takes root. Knowing that what is yours cannot be denied also frees you from envy, comparison, and fear of loss. You no longer worry about others receiving what you think should be yours. You no longer feel threatened by someone else's progress. Instead, you celebrate it, because you understand that their path does not interfere with your own. Divine right eliminates the illusion of scarcity. There is no competition in spiritual law. There is only alignment. When you align with what belongs to you, it finds you in ways that surpass logic. It arrives with precision, and it stays because it is rooted in truth rather than effort. This is the power of knowing that your good is secure. The mountain moves when you align your belief with the unlimited power of God, because belief is the bridge that connects your inner world with divine law. Mountains represent anything that feels too large to overcome. These mountains can be fear, lack, confusion, illness, or emotional heaviness. They rise before you and demand your attention. But a mountain is not moved by physical strength or human reasoning. It is moved when belief shifts from limitation to possibility, from doubt to certainty, from helplessness to spiritual authority. The moment belief aligns with divine power, the impossible becomes possible. The mountain begins to lose its solidity, because it was never a physical block. It was a mental block. Once the mind changes, the path begins to open. Many people try to move mountains by focusing on the mountain itself. They analyze it, fear it, talk about it, and give it power through attention. But spiritual law does not require you to fight the mountain. It requires you to shift your belief. When you believe that the divine is already working on your behalf, mountain becomes a temporary illusion rather than a permanent obstacle. You stop asking how, and begin trusting that the path will be revealed. You stop insisting on your own timeline and begin aligning with divine timing. This inner shift creates space for guidance. Suddenly inspiration appears, new ideas unfold, unexpected support arrives, and the heaviness of the mountain begins to dissolve in the presence of spiritual clarity. Belief aligned with divine power is not wishful thinking. It is the recognition that you are not moving the mountain alone. You are calling upon a force that has no limits, no boundaries, and no resistance. When the mind aligns with this understanding, fear loses its ability to control your decisions. You begin to see the mountain differently. Instead of something that blocks you, it becomes something that teaches you. Instead of something that intimidates you, it becomes something that reveals your power. You are not meant to crumble before challenges. You are meant to rise above them through belief anchored in divine truth. This alignment requires consistency. It is not enough to believe once or twice. Belief must become your foundation. Doubt may whisper, but belief must speak louder. Fear may try to return, but belief must stand firm. Every time you choose belief over fear, the mountain weakens. Every time you affirm divine guidance, clarity increases. Every time you trust the process, the path becomes smoother. The mountain does not move because you push it. The mountain moves because you have aligned yourself with the source that created the mountain in the first place. When someone masters this alignment, they begin experiencing life with a new level of freedom. They are no longer intimidated by challenges because they know challenges respond to belief. They are no longer discouraged by delays because they know delays serve divine purpose. They are no longer overwhelmed by obstacles because they know obstacles dissolve when approached with faith. The mountain may appear large, but the power within you is greater. The alignment of belief with divine power is the key that turns the immovable into the movable. It transforms pressure into progress, fear into faith, and uncertainty into assurance. It reveals that mountains are not barriers but gateways waiting for you to rise to the level of belief required to walk through them.